Welcome, everybody, to another installment of Faith-Filled Friday. I'm Pastor Steve from Christ Presbyterian Church in Tucson, Arizona. And each Friday, I try to do just a little video message of inspiration. Today's is pre-recorded because I couldn't be available live, but I didn't want to miss it. I actually enjoy doing these videos, and I actually enjoy watching them back and challenging myself to be a hearer, not just a speaker, a learner, not just a teacher. I've learned a lot over the years from a lot of different sources, particularly through my faith. And yet one of the other sources I've learned a lot from is this book, The Four Agreements. If you've been around me, you know I speak of it with some regularity. It's by Miguel Ruiz. And I come back to it often. I reread this book probably 3 or 4 times a year in its entirety. And it's not a big book, so it's an easy read, and yet it's a challenging read. Miguel Ruiz says there are 4 agreements by which, if we would all live, we would have a much happier, peaceful, deeper life. And I think he's right. I read it often in the holiday time as we come back together in different family situations, just friend situations. There's just so many expectations we have of one another and what our life is supposed to be about and how it's supposed to be going. And those expectations aren't always met, and we're changing our routines to meld with the routines of other folks. And sometimes that's challenging. And the 4 agreements gives me a real sense of how to be with one another and with myself. So let me just remind you today of the 4 agreements that Miguel Ruiz talks about. On the inside cover of the paperback, he kind of condenses them a little bit for us to understand. The first of the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. He says, speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Now that's an important one as you gather around the Thanksgiving table and the Christmas tables. Put away the gossiping. Be impeccable with your word. The second is don't take anything personally. Here's another good one. Nothing others do is because of you, he writes. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. For those of you who are perhaps younger and going home, and parents or grandparents are saying, so when are you, or why haven't you, or why are you? I invite you to remember the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. You really are in charge of your life as you turn it over to God and Jesus the Christ and understand how God is calling you to live your life. And you have to make those decisions for yourself. That's a part of what we all have to do. But everybody wants you to be what they feel they need you to be, but you got to be who you are. God loves you for who you are. You can do that kindly and gently, and know that other people will love you as you learn to love yourself. The third of his 4 agreements is don't make assumptions. He writes, find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, he writes, you can completely transform your life. And I think he's right. Don't make assumptions. Ask people gently, kindly, lovingly. Ask people what they mean by that. Tell them what you mean. Come to a true understanding. Don't make assumptions. They'll get you in trouble all the time. And the 4th assumption is probably, I think, maybe the most important. The 4th assumption is, or the 4th agreement, is always do your best. And he writes, your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. As you prepare to honor and celebrate the holidays with coworkers, with friends, with family, I invite you to remember the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. And I think you just may have one of the more peace-filled holiday seasons you've had in a long time. With the love of God and the grace of Jesus the Christ, I wish you happy holiday times of Thanksgiving and Christmas. It can be the most wonderful time of the year if we all make it that way for each other and for ourselves. Miguel Ruiz's The 4 Agreements. I highly recommend it. I should be one of his PR people because it's a really great Christmas gift. Amazon has them, and if you have Smile on Amazon, CPC gets a little bit of those profits, so send over our way. But order them online, order them early, send them as Christmas gifts. Get one for yourself. Grace and peace to you this faith-filled Friday. Thank you for joining me.